Trouble on the tracks. The Fat Controller likes his railway to run on time, and so do the engines. They all want to be really useful, and they all want to do their best. But sometimes things can go wrong, and that can cause trouble. One morning Henry was at the works being repaired. He was having his boiler mended. Henry wished he could be out working instead of being stuck in the repair shed. Victor, the works engine, shunted in some trucks of tools.
"Don't worry, Henry," he said. "You'll be fixed soon, and then you can go out back to work."
The workmen were almost finished when the Fat Controller arrived. "Henry, as soon as you are mended, I have a job for you," he said. Henry was delighted. "You are to collect a heavy goods train from the yards and deliver it to Crovan's Gate Station," said the Fat Controller, "and be careful that nothing goes wrong on your journey. Health and safety." "Yes, sir, I will, sir," said Henry. "I will remember that." As the Fat Controller left, the workmen came to see Henry. "There you go, Henry," they said. "You're all fixed now."
"Goodbye, Henry," whistled Victor. "Good luck with your goods train."
"Thank you, Victor," smiled Henry. "Goodbye." And he puffed away. Henry raced to the yards to collect his trucks. He was looking forward to delivering his train. It was one of his favourite jobs. As he puffed into the yards, Bill and Ben were there. They had shunted Henry's trucks into place. Henry's driver coupled him up. "Be careful, Henry," said Bill.
"We don't want another accident with a goods train,"
teased Ben. Henry was cross. The twins liked to tease him about the times Henry had crashed with the flying kipper. It made them laugh. "I won't crash this time," snorted Henry. "Right, Henry," called the driver. "Let's be on our way." Henry was relieved, and he set off. Bill and Ben watched as the train left the station.
"Don't break down,"
they teased, but Henry took no notice. Henry felt pleased to be away from the twins. "This is more like it," he smiled. "Being busy is what makes me happy and makes the Fat Controller's railway run on time." "Punctuality is the word," agreed his driver. Then, as Henry rounded the corner, he was surprised. In front of him was a row of flatbeds. They were not shunted into the siding properly. Henry had to stop. "Bother," groaned the fireman. "Now what?" "We'll have to move them back into the siding," said the driver. "Health and safety," agreed Henry. So the fireman uncoupled the goods train, and Henry then shunted the flatbeds back into the siding. "Well done," called the fireman. "Now let's get back on track." Henry was coupled back onto the train, and he was soon on his way again. "We'll have to tell the Fat Controller about this," said the driver to the fireman. "We could have had an accident." "Careless engines," groaned Henry. Henry decided to try and make up for lost time, so Henry puffed faster. "Steady, Henry," said the driver. "This isn't a race, you know." Mustn't be late," Henry said to himself. Suddenly, Henry puffed round the bend and saw some trucks of roof slates in front of him. "Bust my buffers!" he cried. His driver applied the brakes and Henry stopped just in time. "Phew," sighed the driver. "That was close." "Who left these trucks here?" asked Henry. Then he heard a loud whistle. It was Murdoch. He was pulling the express. Henry could see Murdoch was heading straight for the trucks. "He's going to crash," called the fireman. Henry blew a loud whistle. He shouted as loud as he could. "Stop, Murdoch!" he called. "Stop!" Murdoch heard Henry's whistle, and so did his driver. "Whoa there, Murdoch!" he called. The driver applied the brakes, and Murdoch came to a stop, just in time. "Henry," gasped Murdoch, "thank you." Henry and his crew were relieved. "But how can I get past now?" wondered Murdoch. "You'll have to back up," suggested Henry. "Then I can move these trucks out of the way." Henry's driver spoke to Murdoch's driver, and they agreed. So Murdoch backed the express down the line, and Henry shunted the roof tiles into the nearest siding. Then Henry went back to his train. "Thank you again, Henry," smiled Murdoch. "What kind of engine would leave trucks right on the main line?" I don't know, puffed Henry, but it's health and safety. Murdoch agreed. Henry's driver looked at his watch. We're going to be late, Henry, he said. We better get a move on. Henry gasped. Must go, Murdoch, called Henry. I'm late. And he set off again. Murdoch whistled as Henry went by. Then, as Henry was gone, he raced away too. Henry raced towards a crossing, but as he got nearer, he could see tar wagons in his way. Not again, moaned Henry. Henry stopped in front of the tar wagons. The driver was getting cross. Wait until the Fat Controller hears about this, he grumbled, and he went to find a telephone. Then Henry saw Arthur puff up on the other track. Henry whistled to Arthur. Please, Arthur, he said, can you move these trucks out of the way, please? Arthur smiled. Of course I will, he said. Arthur shunted the trucks off the crossing and into the siding. Then Henry's driver came back. Come on, Henry, he said, we're late. Henry didn't say a word, he just puffed away. Thank you, Arthur, he whistled. Then Henry came towards a level crossing. As he stopped at the gate, Bill and Ben puffed along on both sides. They were cross. What have you done with our trucks? Said Bill. They've been moved, moaned Ben. We remember leaving them on the line. Henry was cross, but before he could answer, the Fat Controller arrived. Henry, he boomed crossly, what are you doing? You should be at the station by now. I'm sorry, sir, moaned Henry. I ran into a few problems. He told the Fat Controller about the trains of trucks that were all over the line. Bill and Ben stared at Henry. Those were our trucks, protested Bill. You had no right to touch our trucks without asking us, agreed Ben. The Fat Controller was cross. Bill and Ben, you can't leave your trucks lying all over the main line. That's dangerous, he said. An engine could have crashed into them, and that would have caused confusion and delay. I was lucky to have stopped Murdoch, said Henry. If it wasn't for me, Murdoch would have been at the works by now. Bill and Ben felt ashamed of themselves. We're very sorry, Henry, said Bill sadly. We didn't shunt our trucks properly, sighed Ben. You two have a lot to learn about health and safety, said the Fat Controller. Henry is very late. You will help him deliver his trucks. Now. Yes, sir, gulped the twins. Soon the twins were ready, and as soon as the crossing gates were open, they set off again for Crovan's Gate station. It was a long way, but Henry was determined to get the train delivered on time. At last they arrived at the station, better late than never. Henry pulled up to the platform. The station master was waiting. He looked very stern. Where have you been? He asked. Henry didn't know what to say. Then Bill and Ben puffed alongside him. It's a long story, sir, said Henry. But thanks to health and safety, said Bill. The train arrived safely, agreed Ben. Everyone agreed.